Airport 2000. Is it a disaster movie that we all forgot about? No, it's actually an expansion add-on for Flight Simulator 98 and 2000 by Wilco Publishing. What is it? Why is it? How is it? And is it worth your money and space on your collection shelf? Well, let's find out. Airport 2000 comes in 3 volumes, and we'll be taking a look at Volume 1 for this episode. On the back of the box, we learn that it's a stunning upgrade, providing the next generation of aircraft, adventures, and airports that quite literally bring Flight Simulator to life. You get 7 international airports with this package: Brussels, Zaventem in Belgium, Frankfurt Main in Germany, Paris Charles de Gaulle in France, Tokyo Narita in Japan, JFK in New York, Atlanta Hartsfield in Georgia, and Los Angeles International in California. All 7 airports have local air traffic, so you don't feel alone. You also get 11 aircraft along with custom panels, which we'll show a little later in this video. In addition to airports, aircraft, and custom panels, you also get flight adventures to help immerse you in your flying endeavors, complete with ATC co-pilot and cabin crew announcements. Inside the box, we get a nice detailed manual complete with approach charts for every airport featured, a registration card, and the CD-ROM itself. Installation is rather simple. Once you have the disc in the drive, you'll be greeted by some exciting music and radio chatter.
Exit at Echo and then contact ground 120.8. Vehicle back off, hold short fast Soli, ultra runway 1 on right at Delta. What's your ground 319, go off midway 1.53, left turn 250. And 319, Chicago departure, contact. So after 419 Mike Kilo, we have the airport. We took Rickson bound. Airport 1 left, contact with base tower 120.9. Visual 1 left, 120.99 Mike Kilo, thanks. And 319, climbing maintain 12,000, southbound.
The installer will ask you if you're installing for Flight Simulator 98 or 2000. Select the appropriate one, and before too long you will be asked if you have the scenery packages of Apollo's Europe 1, Europe 2, and or Lagos Tokyo scenery installed. If they are checked, then it means that the installer can see them. If not, then you'll want to continue forward and select the appropriate folder for each of the scenery packs you have installed. After that, you're good to continue. Now that it's all installed, let's check it out. Once Flight Simulator is loaded, you can select the airport and aircraft you wish to fly, or you can select one of the custom adventures that showcases what this package has to offer. We'll go ahead and select a flight from Los Angeles International to Atlanta Hartsfield. Once the adventure loads up, you'll be placed at the departure airport with the appropriate aircraft, although you can change this if you desire. You'll be asked if you want to have ATC text messages on the top of the screen, which I personally find helpful. You'll also be asked if you'd like to have your co-pilot change the frequency of the comm and nav radios, which I also find really helpful. You'll then be asked what time of day you'd like to begin the flight: day, night, dusk, or dawn. It will generate some random weather, and then after that, the excitement begins.
Fasten seatbelts are on. No smoking signs are on.
The captain has turned on the fasten seatbelt sign if you haven't already done so. We request that you store your luggage and take your seats so we can have an on-time departure. For those passengers seated in a designated exit row, you may be called upon to open that exit in the event of an emergency. Please refer to the safety briefing card or the exit row information card located in the seat back pocket to ensure you meet the exit row criteria and understand the information. After carefully reviewing this card, if you believe you could be injured, do not wish to, or cannot perform the functions listed, please notify a flight attendant. At this time, we also request that you store your electronic devices until we are above 10,000 feet. I will notify you when it is safe to bring these items out for use. If there's any question as to what device you can use on board today, please refer to the Welcome Aboard section of your My Magazine. Thank you for your attention. Flight attendants, please prepare for gate departure.
Parking brakes to set.
It's important to remember that these adventures are mostly linear. meaning you have to do everything in sequence. It only differs with takeoff and landing runways based on how the weather is. The first thing to do is listen to the ATIS briefing at the airport.
Los Angeles Airport information. Juliet 1930, wind 050 degrees 09 knots, visibility 3,800 meters, cloud broken 500 feet, broken 5,900 feet, temperature 20, altimeter 2991, landing runway 07 right, departing runway 07 left, ice controller on initial contact, you have Juliet.
You'll then want to contact clearance.
Delta 264, your clearance is available. Are you ready to copy?
Now here's where things get important. You must remember to acknowledge after every message you receive. If you don't, the message will continue to loop and you can't proceed to the next stage. So to acknowledge, we click the Control key along with the Enter key on the main keyboard, not numerical, for Flight Simulator 98.
Delta 264, you are cleared to your destination via Juliet 74, Juliet 14, climb initially 14,000.
If you are playing on Flight Simulator 2000, then you'll want to click the Control key and then the O key. This is explained in the beginning of the manual, but it's worth mentioning since I struggled with this when I was first checking out the expansion. Once you acknowledge, your co-pilot will set the transponder and next comm frequency automatically. You can turn this feature on or off at any time, but it's one less thing you have to worry about if you have it on. You'll get to hear some recorded ATC chatter that is appropriate to the frequency you are on. There's not a lot of variety, but it's enough to provide an enjoyable experience.
Totally 2 taxi. Totally 2 taxi to hold short of Lima. Contact sound 126 flight. Have a good night. 34. 268. Thanks.
In total, there are 21 departure chatter files, 38 approach, 13 ground, 19 tower, and 39 center. If you dig around in the installation folder, you'll be able to find these files and replace them with your own from liveatc.net. It takes work, but it makes for nice immersion to hear actual chatter from the airport you are flying from and to, along with appropriate center. Keep in mind that this chatter is for the adventures only. As mentioned before, everything in the adventure is sequential. You'll be directed for pushback,
Ground, request pushback.
Cockpit ground. Are you ready for pushback?
authorization, checklists, engine start, and taxi instructions. Along the way, you'll hear some briefings from the flight attendants.
Now we ask that you direct your attention to the forward part of each cabin, to the TV monitors for a brief and important safety message about our cab.
Once you get to the runway, you'll need to be correctly aligned and at a stop in order for the adventure to proceed to the next stage, which is authorization to take off.
Delta 264, wind 050 degrees 09 knots, clear for takeoff runway 07 left.
Don't leave without it, or your license will be revoked and the adventure will end. Once in the air, you'll go through some more checklists, and you'll be guided by ATC to each VOR and climb altitude along the way. Once you reach your cruise altitude, you get to hear this neat message from the cabin crew.
Fasten seatbelts are off.
Once you reach a comfortable cruising altitude, ladies and gentlemen, the flight attendants will be in the cabin and offer you a cocktail beverage of your choice, along with breakfast. There are 5 flight attendants on board today, primarily for your safety. If there's anything we can do to make your trip more enjoyable, please don't hesitate to ask. I would like you to sit back and relax and enjoy the...
During the flight, you can sit back and relax while listening to the various ATC chatter until you need to adjust your heading to the next waypoint. As long as your co-pilot is active, he'll change the nav radios for you along the way, which is a nice touch.
Fasten seatbelts are on.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has turned on the fasten seatbelt sign. If you're up and about in the cabin, we ask that you take your seat and make sure your seatbelt is securely fastened.
We're flying our 7 radar contact, 3 miles northwest of Juliet, VOR, midway altimeter 296, altitude leading.
As you approach the airport, you'll be vectored for landing and also go through the typical checklists.
Listen, check it. Autopilot, set and check. Meter, check. Airspeed, set for approach. Fuel, sufficient. Navigation radios, set for approach.
You'll also need to listen to the ATIS message at your destination airport, or you may wind up being stuck in a loop with the adventure. I've played a handful of adventures and haven't had a successful landing without being routed in circles, crashing before reaching the runway, or landing without authorization because the ATC was stuck. The adventures can be very picky, and if you don't have all your I's dotted and T's crossed, you'll find yourself in an endless loop with ATC. It'll take several practice runs until you can get through the adventure with no trouble, and many may not want to fuss with it. However, the adventures can be quite enjoyable for immersion and flight practice if you don't have any other third-party software installed for air traffic control, co-pilot, and cabin crew announcements. There are a total of 9 adventures, and they all follow the same structure. Naturally, you don't have to fly these, and you can just use the airports and aircrafts in any way you wish. Now that we've talked about the adventures, let's go through each of the airports and aircrafts that you get with this package. one other comparison I'd like to do is what it would look like if you have Apollo's Europe 1 or Europe 2 installed, or Lagos Tokyo. As you can see, the Narita airport in Japan did not fare well with Lagos Tokyo installed, so this is a letdown. In summary, you get a really nice package here of airport scenery, aircraft, panels, and adventures to fly. Is it worth the price of admission? The big box package costed me about $30 on eBay, but you can get a non-boxed version for as low as $10. Depending on your budget, it's really not a bad deal. You get some nice airports and aircraft, plus you can use the panels on any other aircraft if you know how to edit the config files. What's also nice is that there is user-created content that takes advantage of Airport 2000 by adding updated runways, taxiways, signs, dynamic aircraft, wave file replacements, and even air traffic tracks for the FS traffic program. However, you can also find some nice aircraft panels and user-created scenery on flightsim.com and avsim.com. That way you can save your hard-earned cash for other add-ons. For me, it was a worthy addition to my collection, and I don't see myself uninstalling it from my flight simulator setup. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to check out others that I have. I make new videos all the time, and every day has a different theme here on KILR Television, so be sure to subscribe and ring the notification bell to be informed of any new content that I upload. I also do live streams over on Twitch throughout the week, and you can support me on Patreon to get access to some killer bonuses and rewards. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on another video. Have a killer day.